In this video I'm going to introduce Flyway, which is a library that allows us to easily manage the schema for our database. Here I have a simple application that I created using Maven. So it has this type of file structure, and I've already created a database over here, and I did this using the pgadmin 4 tool for the Postgres database. And here's some code that just goes through and queries the database for any data that might be in there from that users table and prints it out. So the purpose of this video is to demonstrate how I would manage this schema over here without going to pgadmin, and instead use the Flyway library. And again, so this helps us manage the schema across multiple machines. There's situations where you might want to load another database with this information and you don't want to have to go back and do it manually. And the other thing is that over time your schema generally will change. You'll end up making changes to individual tables, or adding tables, or removing tables as the project goes on. So the concept of migrations, which is what Flyway implements, really helps that. So I'm going to start by deleting this table so that we can just start over, and then I'll show you how to do it with Flyway. Here are the steps that we're going to go through. We're going to start by adding Flyway to the POM XML file so that we download it through Maven. We'll then configure it for the database. We'll then go on and create the required directory structure, add some SQL scripts, run them, and then it'll be coffee time. So let's start with this adding to the POM XML file. Okay, I've opened the POM XML file, and now what I need to do is add in the information that will tell Maven how to download the actual plugin. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in. And again, as usual, you find this out on the web at the Maven repository search sites. There's a couple of different sites that you can go. What I just pasted in downloads the core library for Flyway. And there's one other step that we need to do here. We need to configure Flyway to actually be able to talk to our database. And so here again I'm going to paste in some code, and this goes down in the plugin section. So what we do here is we tell it, well, we're going to use that library. It's the Flyway Maven plugin. We tell it what version, and here we give it the URL for our database and then our username and password. So we actually just finished the first two steps, so let's mark them done and this one done. And we'll do both of these at the same time as well. So we're going to create the required directory structure, and then we'll add the SQL scripts. Okay. Next step is we need to create the directory structure that Flyway requires. So in a Maven project, that goes under resources, and so what we're going to do here is say new directory. We'll call it DB, and then under that directory we're going to say new directory migration. Okay. Notice that it's singular. Make sure you don't do plural. Don't let this fool you over here. This is actually a nested directory, but when there's nothing in there, IntelliJ just combines it to look like that. Okay, so that's our first step. We've got the directory structure. The next thing we want to do is create our migration scripts. Now, you can do this manually and just type these in, but I do want to show you that there is a plugin that you can use that can make things a little easier. Move this around so you can see it. Let's see, if we go down here and we look at plugins and then go browse repositories, and up here we want to type in Flyway. So this Flyway migration creation one. This is a cool little plugin that just makes it a little bit easier to create these files. So I already have mine installed, so that's what I'm going to be using here. Alright, so to create the migration then, I'm going to go say new, and here's what that plugin does for us. Flyway migration down here, and hopefully that's showing up on the screen. So let me do this again just in case. I'm going to move this up just a hair for the time being and make sure that that shows up on the menu. So let's see, new, or it shows up on the video, new Flyway migration, versioned migration. So that's what we're doing right here. And here I'll say add user table. Okay. And now I'm going to move this back down. All right, so notice that this is an SQL file. So now what we want to do is add in our SQL. So I'm just going to cut and paste it in from another file. And now we have our SQL code. So this right here, you can see it's going to create our table called users. It will set up an ID that is automatically updated, auto increment that is, and just a name field. So to make this work, now that I've got this file in here, this file should be in this directory, by the way. Oh, you know what? It put it in the wrong place. So I'm going to move it up here. And let's say move it into the DB migration. Okay. So, all right. So you might want to be careful about that. That messed me up. So you might want to go in here and do the right click. Anyway, make sure it shows up in this directory. That's the main point. And then to run it, we come over to this Maven window. We can click here. We can type Flyway : migrate and execute. And assuming that everything is created, configured correctly, you should get success down here. And now if I go over here and go to my database and click refresh, you'll see that my table shows up. Okay. Now here's the value of this. So yeah, this is fine, but what if we want to make a modification to the table? So now we could go in and say, well, let's see, I want to do a new Flyway migration again, version migration. Let's see if it puts it in the right place this time. Add age to our users. Okay, put it in the right place that time. Okay, so here, what we're going to do is we'll just, again, I'm just going to cut and paste an alter table. Now, let's see if this works. I'm going to go here, migrate, execute. Looks like it's okay. And now let's take a look at our table. And we are going to have to refresh. And there it is. So I can run this as many times as I want to. It's not going to go back and try to recreate this table. It will always check in this schema version table, which it created, to know where we are in terms of this list. So you're safe. I can keep running this over and over again, and it will never cause a problem. All right, well, let's see. We did this one, and we also did this one, and we actually jumped ahead and did this one. So it's coffee time. I hope you find this video helpful, and I will see you in class.